All right, Virgo, I like the message that's coming out of this because I think that a lot of you have been putting yourselves in situations that weren't authentic to you, if that makes sense. So the Rainbow Prince, compensation and perseverance, and then you have no place like home. So when you look at the Rainbow Prince, and this did show up as an ally for you, which is great. One of the things that this talks about is when you have been through the rainstorm, so to speak, or have been through a really difficult period in your life, when it comes to an end, it's saying that there will be payback or a payoff. And it's saying that you need to keep your eyes on the sky after the rainstorms here that may have upset your life. It reminds you to follow your bliss because it will pay off, that there is something better waiting for you. But perseverance is going to be key here. So needing to continue after something has like really upset your life. You know, but that rainbow is kind of coming out now. But I think the payoff is you being a little bit more comfortable and feeling safe. When you look at No Place Like Home, it talks about authenticity. And it also talks about coming home to yourself and feeling comfortable in your own skin. But I also feel like safety and security with yourself after having been put through a really difficult situation. But like I said, it wasn't authentic to you in the first place, right? And I think that some of you knew that, but now it's definitely coming to a close where you're going to have, you know, better things. And yeah, I can see you being, you know, yourself here and doing the hermit thing, but you're still looking at better things coming to you after this. So I don't see it as a bad thing other than what you had been through previously, if that makes sense. Now, from Moonology, and that one, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. So the full moon eclipse, conclusions are within reach. It says that which is meant for me will not pass me by. So even though you may have been in a place where you haven't been authentic to yourself, it doesn't mean that all the things that were meant for you are not going to come around. The Rainbow Prince is saying otherwise, definitely. But it says doors which slam shut now will not reopen, which is a good thing for me considering what you pulled. You know, it's almost like if something is coming to an end and it was really difficult and it's just, bam, done, right? You don't want to reopen that. Why would you? But this is a reminder, I think, for a lot of you that when the conclusion hits, it's for good. But it also says it's time for you to get back on track, and forgiveness will set you free of karma. And, you know, again, right, forgiving yourself, not so much forgiving others, but forgiving yourself for have been put through that or having put yourself through that. All right, Virgo, here is your overall. The Knight of Cups, oh boy. Okay. I don't know. I love him, but I don't. But usually when you see this as the overall here, it's either going to be about, you know, you being able to follow your heart or wherever your heart is leading you. Or we're talking about an offer that's coming through from someone. You could be making this offer. It could be about whether or not to accept something based on how you're feeling about it. But right, the messenger of love and romance. You know, but we'll see here. Okay, so the moon as the past. With the Knight of Cups being the overall, I think that if you have something coming to you right now, you may be questioning how you feel about it. If you have been in situations that have been difficult or have brought a lot of confusion, fear, and anxiety to you. So if we're looking at a big conclusion for a lot of you, if something better is coming out of it, you may be looking at it going, is this real? Is it really, truly real? Which I can understand. But we're also talking about you needing to look at what is lurking in the shadows in your subconscious mind. There is a beauty to the moon. But again, the moon is lighting your path. So it's only illuminating certain things. It's going to be up to you to use your instincts when following this path and not veering too far off into things that are not real or into fears and anxiety surrounding what may be coming to you. Now, you may be confused, though, of the actions of another person, which can be the case here. Okay, in the present, the Magician, right? Manifesting that cool-ass shit, I'm telling you. But what is it that, you want to create, or what is it that you're looking at and wondering if you have the ability to make it happen? Or are you waiting for somebody else to, create this situation? But we'll see. We'll see here. Because I don't necessarily feel, even though you have the moon coming through here, I don't feel manipulation, although some of you may be questioning it. Oh my, Virgo. The Page of Cups and future conditions. Now, do you feel like you have the ability to make something happen if you communicate how you feel? Is, a confusing situation here becoming a little bit more clear in terms of, what can actually happen? And is that what is opening up this kind of communication? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like the fact here that we're not looking at a king or a queen, which could definitely suggest that some of you may be dealing with somebody right now who is emotionally immature. But the Page of Cups is about the purity of emotions. And it is the communication and then following through on that, right? So you have the puppy love and then being in love with love. And that's my only problem with the Knight of Cups, because if we're talking about this in terms of a person, they would be the type to be like, oh yes, please, here, fill my cup. Oh, wait a minute, I want to have this experience here, please fill my cup, which is why we look at it as the player in some situations. But if communication opens up where you may not have known, or you may have been really confused in terms of how somebody was feeling, it may make it a little bit easier for you to go ahead and follow this through, or see where it goes, or, get your heart involved. But that really depends on, the communications and the follow through of action with the Knight of Cups. But I'm still looking at the Magician and wondering, well, who is creating what here? Or are you clearing out all of the shit that's been hiding in the shadows in terms of your emotions, and now, you feel like you have what you need to create a better situation for yourself. Because one of the things that I talk about with the Magician all the time, is if you can manifest bullshit, you can manifest something better. But I do think that for a lot of you, this is going to be obviously emotional in nature, but this could be about, feelings being restored, or this is going to be something new that may be coming through. But love, love does kind of like show up with this. Now, it could just be, though, for a lot of you, an offer that's coming through. You feel like you have what it takes to make something happen with this. And there's this communication or the restoration of emotions surrounding it, And creativity, big time, between the Moon and the Page of Cups. That's coming from the imagination. Like, I literally see SpongeBob with the rainbow going, imagination. But it's not a bad thing. Oh, your best path to follow, the Four of Swords. Now, you could very simply say here that before you accept anything, or before you give of yourself on an emotional level here, we need to sit and really think about it, or give yourself time to meditate on, what the right course of action is going to be. But we're also talking about, keeping the peace, silence here. There isn't communication going on. Now, if you've been in a place where somebody has been confusing you and they're speaking to you now, I think that with the Four of Swords for you, maybe it's time to break the silence here and speak up. Especially if for some of you haven't been really happy with somebody's actions. And this could be, besides dealing with love here, it could be dealing with your kids even, Or like I said, somebody close to you here who is emotionally immature. But I don't feel anything really bad about it, other than the fact that you're coming in confused about what is going on, what is being offered, who feels what, and who's creating what or manipulating what. And I hate saying that with the Magician. But the Four of Swords, if there's been silence, it's time to kind of come out now. But making sure that you're communicating in a way that is coming from, mental clarity. But have you given yourself some time to think about where your heart is leading you, though, too? Oh, Virgo, the Nine of Cups. Can you manifest what you want? Are you getting what you want? Or are you only thinking about it, but then also thinking, I'm happy with what I have? So the Nine of Cups, when we talk about, what you want, I look at that and immediately for me, it suggests that you have an ability to get what you want, and with the Magician, absolutely create it. But it's also about being happy with what you already have. And then the other thing though too is when you're looking at wish fulfillment, right? Like in what is that deck? Why is it slipping my mind? Spellcasters, yeah. It has the genie, right? You have to be careful when you're rubbing that genie lamp because you got to be really fucking specific or anything can show up. Are you being realistic about what you want or what you think somebody is capable of giving you? So I don't necessarily feel a longing here. I think that you know that you can create what you want out of this situation. But I question that Nine of Cups. Is it something that you really want? And have you thought about that? Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so please, 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 please remember that these are general messages. It's impossible to have it be for everyone, right? This is going to hit home for a lot of you in an emotional way, if this is meant for you. Okay, I've been seeing a lot of comments too about interpretation, and one of the things that I say with that is we all have, it's all about perspective, so we all have our different perspective on it. Just because my interpretation of it may not follow yours, it doesn't mean that it's not true for somebody else. And that's just, the warning here with looking at these readings. But the Devil, being hopes and fears, absolutely would make sense. If you're dealing with somebody that is emotionally immature, has a problem with following through on what they say. This is you looking at it going, am I just following a temptation here? Or is this something really negative? Or maybe I need to get rid of, negativity here before I follow through on anything. But I look at that and think, you could if you wanted to, but it's not healthy. Now, you could also be looking, though, at someone, especially with the moon kicking this off and going, have they gotten rid of their negative tendencies, their vices, things like that? So the hope there would be that, we're getting rid of the negativity or anything that would be tying somebody down. The fear is that, that kind of negative energy is going to continue if you follow through on this, or if you continue to deal with somebody that can't get themselves straight emotionally. But like I said, the only reason why I say that is because the moon is kicking this off. This to me is saying that you have not had a lot of clarity in terms of how to move forward with someone in particular or with an offer. Do you really need it though, is my thing. And then coming out the Ace of Swords, we need truth. We need absolute truth. Now, I would say that given the way that it's coming out here, that I think somebody is trying to be straightforward and truthful with you, whereas before in the past they've been like dodgy, I think would be the best way to put it. But this is, a new beginning where truth is first. And I like it. Especially if somebody is coming around now and saying, well, I don't want to manipulate you into thinking that this is what you want. Let me, be truthful here. Now, it could be, though, that is what you're dealing with. You may be looking at it like, I don't really need this. If I wanted to, I could create it. But has the bad ship been dealt with the Devil? And then I go back to the Four of Swords and think that, if somebody is communicating to you where they have been confusing you before, are you clear? Are you really clear? All right. And I kind of look at that as sometimes when we look at temperance, it can suggest somebody who is trying to be pleasing, but also holding themselves back. But I think more so the reason why we're looking at temperance is because you're trying to stay reserved about, this situation, this offer, or this person. Now, with the Knight of Pentacles and the Moon, the confusion could be because somebody starts and then stops, start and stop, start and stop. Where is this going? And if you feel like, things were slow and steady and all of a sudden stopped, I can understand why the moon is kind of coming through. But, is it worth continuing to stay the course, right? That only depends on whether or not we're getting truth and getting clarity. And with the sun here, absolutely, you see everything. It's like you have an opportunity here to live a new life. Okay, so if we're talking about something coming through that has confused you in the past, it may be, I see this for what it is, but I need to do what's going to make me feel good here. But then when you're looking at it with the Ace of Swords, I see that as the minor to the major. Clarity, absolute clarity, being shown something, having everything being made clear in terms of what somebody else wants, what somebody else may be trying to create or manipulate with you, or what it is that you actually want. But if we're talking about wants with the Nine of Cups and having a wish fulfilled or having something emotionally fulfilling for you happen, it needs to be something that's going to be uplifting with the Sun. It needs to be good. It needs to make me feel good. It has to be on course with me. And then I go back to, being in a place of not having any authenticity. And that's not the case for you anymore. And you see that very clearly. And I think that you know that with the Ace of Swords. But then, like I said, with Temperance here, I almost feel like you're trying to reserve judgment. So rather than making a judgment on this, you're deciding to, keep yourself balanced. Like, okay, let's see what you do first. That's kind of how I feel about that. So you're not saying yes, you're not saying no, but you're not shutting it down completely though either. But I think that that there is something negative attached to this that needs to be cleared up in a really big way. And for you to, accept any kind of a new beginning, like I said, truth, and it needs to be something that makes you feel good with the Sun. And here's the other thing that I just got thinking about this. So going back to the full moon eclipse, when we're talking about the door slamming on a situation here, I think that is what that's trying to say is, if you're going to give somebody a chance here to clear up any kind of confusion, they may not have been acting in the right way, but maybe they're trying. I think that if you do follow through with this, you can't, the past is over with. Whatever happened with the moon, whatever confusion was coming through, if you're dealing with somebody who just couldn't, get themselves on track, that can't ever be brought up again, if that makes sense. But that goes both ways if you're dealing with a person, right? And change, I'm telling you, there's something that and with intuition and wisdom, right? Your intuition is giving you wisdom or insight into what is really going on. But that wisdom may be showing you that things can change. Wow, man. But it's really important that you pay attention to what your intuition is telling you, especially if you want to lead with truth and clarity. But what wisdom have you gained that's going to create this change? And do something for someone else. Give your attention to someone else. Now, straight up, and this is just me being honest looking at the two, it could be that, it's time to stop giving your attention to somebody who can't get themselves on track emotionally. Again, emotional immaturity. And it may be that, you need to put your romance and your attention and affection into someone else rather than continuing to deal with this. Now, it may be that, you need to start giving some more attention to this person in order to create romance, but I feel iffy about that just because of the way the message comes out, so that's really up to you as far as interpretation goes, because, right, the heart wants what it wants, but there needs to be more romance. But, in order to get more romance, it may be that you need to give some more attention to someone, because somebody is needing attention. Now, we can definitely flip the script on this, though, and say that somebody else needs to start giving you some more attention. I think maybe they are trying, but I do like the clarifiers for the Ace of Swords, even though it's connected to the Page of Cups. But truth and clarity is absolutely going to be the motivating force on whether or not you accept an offer from someone or you take a new opportunity.